Bonjour à tous. Hi everyone. So thank you a lot for joining our webinar today. This is our first webinar dedicated to engineers, and we'll put some emphasis on the specific use case for engineers. So today I'm Emily, based in Canada for BIM&CO, and I'm with my colleague Manel, based in Paris. Hi Manel.
Hello everybody. Good morning.
Hello everyone. So today we will cover an introduction on BIM implementation strategy with a focus on BIM content strategy. Then I'll hand over to Manel for a tour on Onfly and a demo of the platform. Then we will deep dive in two use cases for engineers, and then a wrap up, and we'll take your question at the end. So thank you. You can write your question all the way through, and we go through your questions, answering at the end of the presentation. So as an introduction, I wanted just to introduce our company, BIM&CO. We're based in France, and we have offices across Europe, Singapore, and Canada for North America. So BIM&CO is a technology vendor. We develop BIM content management technologies for the AEC industry with our tool Onfly. That will be our focus today, but also for manufacturers with specific platform to manage their data and for BIM, and as well a public platform, BIM&CO.com, where anyone can find objects, quality BIM objects. So I will turn off my video so we can have more screen for the
I'll do the same then.
PowerPoint. So an introduction on BIM implementation strategy. I wanted first to state that BIM is not only for buildings, of course, but also for industry and infrastructure. So it really means that across the different fields of a company, BIM has its own challenges, but also opportunities. So BIM is not only software, it's definitely collaboration, and collaboration inside a company and collaboration externally between the different responsibility of a project. And as well as collaboration, it also means to have processes. And the objective of BIM is really to help you standardize your processes at the company level, at the project level. So definitely software will help you to collaborate, will help you to standardize the processes, but it's just a tool to do so. And at the end of the day, BIM is definitely an important, the aim goal is to improve efficiency of the project, to deliver better buildings and to also have a better efficiency at the company level. Content in all of this. So why is content important? A building, an infrastructure project is made of thousands of objects. We can call it objects or families. All of this is content. And the objects are the primary elements that describe your project. And this is why it's important, because the information is embedded inside the object. To go through the way we want to see BIM and to achieve the efficiency that we want to see, many of us talk about BIM with the eye of the BIM that is important. We also talk about artificial intelligence that can help you better design the buildings and etc. But to use artificial intelligence, to have intelligent model, first, the input data must be readable, must be clean, and must be managed. So this is why for us, objects are really important, because they are really the inputs of the data of your models that will go through the life of your project. And this data is important because after it's used to take out the schedule of your project, to have quantity takeoff, estimation, and so on. So within your company BIM implementation plan, it's important to talk about content. And basically, we have 2 steps of this implementation roadmap concerning BIM content. First is to develop a BIM library. And most of you are already on this path, so this is great. In the questionnaire we sent prior to the webinar, many of you guys confirmed that you already have a BIM library. Most of you are stored on a server or maybe SharePoint. So to go through this BIM library, it's important. So, and it's important to have specific tools to manage this library, to help you to save time, so in design, but also to collaborate across offices, etc. Then the second step is when the need arises to standardize your content, when you need to control it more efficiently, when you need to classify more efficiently, when you need your content to be useful for different disciplines across different markets, and when you want your object to have structured data and defined data for different types of objects. For example, a valve will not have the same data that an air handling unit, for example. So all of this represents your BIM library. An example of a company of our customers having 2,000 of objects through 5 different formats: Revit, Civil 3D, SketchUp, and so on, using 2 classifications. Going through this example of 20 offices under the same BIM library, which has a lot of challenges, but can be feasible with the right BIM content management tool. So why Onfly, which is a BIM content management platform and data management platform? The objective is for you to save time for modelers and for engineers. So here, modelers will save time because it's easier to find the right content. Engineer will also save time by automatizing some non-valuable tasks. I think, Manel, it was you stating a figure of 90% of the companies suspect the data they have in their families to be unvetted. So this generates a lot of extra work, and people have to scrub the data over and over to have it cleaned or consistent, so they have they achieve the right level of quality of the model. So it means also share data and experience between teams and offices. So it allows people to collaborate. I can state one of the cooperation between electrical and mechanical fields that are often a source of many back and forth during the project between the teams internally. It's also a way to share the documents and PDFs of your equipment that you store always in your library and not across different projects. So you have a link between your central library and all your projects. It's also a way to standardize your objects, as we said before, but also to implement and put in force, to enforce your standard across the company, to manage the data and the LOD at each step of the project. And also, Onfly will help you to define roles and dispatch responsibility concerning the content. Of course, everyone has to have access to your library, but it's important to define different roles. You can have a content manager for the project that will help gather all the content to make sure that the designer have everything they need to proceed. Then you can also have some responsibility specific to data sets. We will see that later. So you can have a data set for mechanical or for electrical that will be addressed to some specific person. You can also have some data that are under the responsibility of the estimation department, for example. So Onfly will help you to do so by centralizing your library and managing your data through control, standardization to help you better design and collaborate. So I will hand over to Manel, and we will go through the platform online, and then through, let me find Manel to hand over, and also through one of our plugins on Revit.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Well, so I'm going to carry on your last slide that explains actually the aim of our product Onfly, which helps to centralize, harmonize, and digitalize our BIM content. So this is how a library looks like. We have several features. I'm not going to detail all of them today, but I will try to, at best, to give you an overview on the main ones. So please do send or write down your questions, and we'll make sure that we will answer them at the end. Onfly helps to centralize your BIM content. And when looking for a specific object, you can browse by object name, but also using object types. So if it's a generic or manufacturer object, you can look for content by using a manufacturer name, a specific software or file extension. You can also set up tags that will help you to structure your library and narrow down your research. And all of this, obviously, in your specific library, but you can also access a global library within the company and BIM&CO public library. So you can access your objects, you can access your library, your company's library, but you can also go to BIM&CO public library that has thousands of manufacturer and generic objects. Okay. We can create objects. The aim is to put all the stakeholders of a BIM project around the table and to allow them to contribute to the project. So what we see here can be accessible through the plugin, and this will help non-Revit users or people who are not on technical softwares to integrate information, data, and collaborate through the project. We can actually do so many things through the platform. We can request content if we need specific objects. We can chat and collaborate with our colleagues. But the focus that I will put today is on the administration, which is basically the core role within the company. So there are several roles in the product. So we can have administrators, but also content creators or simple members. The importance of the administrators is that they will be in charge of setting up the platform for the rest of the team. And they will be in charge of adding users, inviting people, and accepting pending invitations. They will be able to manage specific domains, company-specific domains. If, for instance, you have a specific domain and you don't want people to request access to your library. They can manage objects, which means that they can have an impact on several or a group of objects in the library. They can publish them or make them non-visible to the rest of the group. They can create tags that will help you to structure your library. Only administrators can do that. They can also be in charge of creating classifications. So we know that there are the international ones that are available today that will help you to structure your library, but you can also create your own classification and obviously change it or amend it through the projects. An administrator also will be in charge of keeping the link with the suppliers. So if you need to receive specific manufacturer objects, you can invite your suppliers to create their own page on BIM&CO to publish their content for you and to improve collaboration with your various suppliers or manufacturers. So mainly, I'm not going to dig into all the features, but roughly you can have an overview. Through Revit, we can access all the features that we saw together. I will show you quickly one or two functions. And what's important is that we make sure that we keep a dynamic link between your library and your library through the plugin. So if any information or any object is modified into your library, you will be notified into your object, and you will know exactly what's happening and to your objects. Okay. So we see here that we go back to the same environment we were in the web browser. We're going to select a generic object, which is a generic air unit. What's important also to mention is that our technology deals separately or considers separately the geometry from the data, which is really important because according to the phase or to the level of your project, you might not need all the set of information or parameters that you have in your object. So the fact that you can control or select specific parameters regarding or according to the stage you are in is very important, and this is really the focus that we put on our process. So for instance, we are in this case looking for classification, identity data, and dimensions only. We don't need electrical for some reason, so we can only select the parameters we need. We select the reference we need, and we download the object. So straight away, the system will bring the object with only the parameters that have been selected. Okay, so we see now the air unit. Cool. So here is our air unit that we selected. It's the generic object with a specific set of parameters. So now we will see how we can integrate more information or a specific set of properties. For instance, it could be Kobe or any specific customer's properties that you need to integrate. So we go back to the plugin, but this time we will only download data. Okay, so now we have the data insertion mode. We'll pick this manufacturer object, which is an air unit with more parameters. Sorry, this is not what I wanted to do. I will select, just as an example, some electrical properties. Yeah, in here we have the frequency, the nominal current, and so on. So I'm going to get this set of parameters, select the variant, the references, and download. Cool. Up. So in here we see that the electrical parameters have been integrated. Sorry, I didn't show you at the beginning what parameters we had in the object, but basically we had only dimensions, mechanical, and identity data. So as an example, let's take another set of properties to see. Let me just check in here what we have. Airflow, yeah. Let's take airflow parameters to our objects, just to show you. So in here we don't have the airflow parameters. we're gonna integrate them. So download data again. Okay. So in here, we're gonna use the smart download, which is smart by allowing us to integrate only the parameters we need to our object. So in this case, all the airflow parameters will be selected. Parents and download. Cool. Let's see together now if our parameters have been integrated. Yes, mechanical flow. So airflow max, airflow minimum, pressure drop, and so on. So the 4 parameters that we had in here that were mapped actually with value are retrieved in our objects online. What's important also to know is that we create IFC parameters and generate IFC parameters with the object parameters value. So that will help obviously to exchange your model. So this is generated automatically as well. And obviously, as I said earlier, there is a dynamic link between all the modifications that occur on the platform. So if any object or any value, parameters value is changed, you will be notified. If the subject, for instance, will change through the time, you will be notified and get through the update objects, get all the updates that will let you know what parameters and what change has been done on your selected objects. I think I'm done from my side.
Thank you a lot. So going back to the presentation. From what we have seen with the features of Onfly, if we put it in a case of use case, it's something like that. So the objective would be to enrich your model with additional data and up to delivering an updated model or ideally an as-built model. So generic objects are inserted in the model. Then on the platform or in Revit, there's additional parameters or new value of these parameters that are updated. Can be manufacturer data if we're an as-built model, or it can be with more precise data if it's an updated model. You can also could ask a manufacturer to directly through Onfly provide you with the data. Objective of this use case is to have the model updated with more precise information. Another use case is a collaboration between Revit and non-Revit users. So you have a modeler using Revit, has an object that is different objects that have been inserted in the project. Then on the platform, you can have the HVAC engineer that will check and update all the values of the parameters that were inserted in the model. This helps the specification of equipment and does not require Revit. It can just be through inserting data in the object. Then the project modeler is notified that updates are available and he can update the parameters. So to wrap up, Onfly will help you centralize your BIM library at the company level. It will help you control the families themselves, the data inside the families and the geometry. It will also help you implement the standards so to harmonize your library. And the final goal is to better design. So more quickly, more effectively with controlled content. And at the end of the day, to better collaborate, specifically between the fields of engineering that are involved on the project. So the benefits that Onfly can bring to your firm is first to share and manage a common library across the company, across offices, but also across disciplines with multi-market and standardization within the library. The second strong objective is to help you save time by optimizing the time that is spent on the model. So this is done through minimizing and automatizing the tasks that are not valuable and that can be done automatically, like inputting data, updating data inside the families, and having up-to-date and as-built models. And the final goal is to capitalize project after project to help you bulk import your families from Revit to the library, and to help you have this library growing, and with this, all the savoir-faire that is known inside all the projects going back to the company. Thank you. So that's all we can take for now for your questions. So if you have any other question, you can reach out to us. Here is my email address, and we'll be happy to keep discussing with you and understand what are your specific problems regarding to content. Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Bye.